Hi there, I'm Joshua Maria Garcia, and welcome to Summer Hebrew, or, whatever season you're learning Hebrew in. In this series, we're going to learn how to read Ivrit, or Ivrit, Hebrew. That's the word that's right here. And it's a lot easier than you might think. There are a lot of other videos on YouTube offering to teach you how to read Hebrew, but I find that my approach helps students learn Hebrew most quickly because it gets you into practicing and using the language as quickly as possible. Here's what we're going to cover in this course. We're going to learn how to read Hebrew. That's our main course objective. And we're going to do that in standard pronunciation. So if you're a linguistics geek like me, you might be wondering, well, I want to learn reconstructed classical biblical Hebrew pronunciation. But most people working in the field and using these texts in their real lives don't use that pronunciation. So we're going to use the standard pronunciation. If you want to geek out and learn the classical pronunciation, you can do that. But this is a great starting point, and it's going to enable you to study Hebrew with other living people. So this is the pronunciation that's typically used in Hebrew school. It's the pronunciation that's used in synagogues in the United States, at least. And it is closer to modern Hebrew than it is to actual classical Hebrew, but it's perfectly fine for getting started. We're also we're not going to actually learn how to write together, but I encourage you to try writing the letters down because it actually helps you to learn a lot faster to be writing and not only reading. I'm planning on posting some videos later that show you how to write as well. And while our main objective here is to learn how to read, we will naturally acquire some vocabulary along the way. This is what I tell my students when we start learning Hebrew together. If you practice a little Hebrew every day, you will learn how to read Hebrew fluently in a very short period of time. If you use these videos once or twice a week, you'll acquire basic decoding skills. Decoding, as opposed to fluent reading, is basically being able to sound words out or know basically what you're looking at. But it won't get you to fluent reading unless you're practicing about 5 minutes at least every day. If you don't practice, I think that these are still enjoyable lessons and informative. So let's talk a little bit about what Hebrew actually is. Hebrew is a Semitic language. It's a Northwest Semitic language. So if you picture the Levant, which stretches from, is the Fertile Crescent from Iraq over to Israel and Palestine, almost touching Egypt. Northwest Semitic languages are the languages that are in that left-hand side, northwest, left-hand side of the Fertile Crescent. And Hebrew is in the Canaanite group, which means it's really closely related to Ugaritic, a Canaanite language, and Phoenician, also technically a Canaanite language. Now, a lot of people like to compare Hebrew to Aramaic and Arabic, but it's actually less close to those languages, and there are some pretty significant differences between Hebrew and Aramaic and Arabic. Although those are the ones that people think of because they're spoken today and used in religious life quite a lot for lots of people around the world. Now, Hebrew is also distantly related to Maltese, the language spoken on Malta, because Maltese is actually a Semitic language. And it's the only Semitic language, as far as I'm aware, that is written with the Roman alphabet. Pretty interesting. Here's the letters we're going to learn in Lesson 1. Let's dive right in. The first letter of the Hebrew alphabet, or as we should probably call it, Aleph Bet, is Aleph. Aleph is a silent letter in standard pronunciation, and so it doesn't make any sound at all, but isn't it beautiful? So here's our silent Aleph, and if we want it to make a sound, we need to add a vowel mark. Our first vowel mark is called kamatz, and as you can hear in the name, kamatz, it makes an A sound. Kamatz, A. Names are really helpful in Hebrew. The names of things tend to be the sounds of things as well. So kamatz makes an A sound. Now, we can add a different vowel to Aleph to make a different sound. Or, in this case, the same sound. This is patach, patach. It also makes an A sound. So we have silent Aleph, A, A. You're already reading Hebrew. This is the letter bet. It's the second letter of the Hebrew aleph bet, right? Aleph, bet, first two letters of the alphabet, just like the English word alphabet actually comes from the first two letters of the Greek alphabet, alpha and bet, or beta. Bet is sort of like a box with a ball in it. I also like to remind my students that bet has a butt. It has a little protrusion, which will be important for telling it apart from other letters later on. Bet makes a B sound, just like its name. B. Now let's add some vowels. Ba, ba. Noticing that our sounding vowels have horizontal lines. That's going to be a helpful trick as we move forward. B, ba, ba. Now, when I'm going through the sounds of the letters, sound them out with me. Don't just sit and listen and watch. You need to make the sounds with your own body, with your own lungs and your own mouth and your own mind. That way, the language is really getting into your experience. B, you say it. Ba, you say it. Ba, you say it. Great. It's like Dora the Explorer. Okay. Now, Bet has lost her ball, and so now she makes a V sound. This is vet. Her little belly is vacant. So, V, va, va, V, va, va. That's the Hebrew letter vet. Now, technically, bet and vet are just one letter with or without a dagesh, an emphasis dot. But some people like to call this vet because it's a little bit easier to keep track of. V, va, va. So let's go through all the different combinations we have with the letters we now know and the vowels we know as well. Aleph is silent. A, A, B, ba, ba, v, va, va. You can rewind if you want to go through those again. But we can already make some words. Let's take this one letter at a time, not too scary. Here we have Aleph with a kamatz, A. And here we have vet all by her lonesome, V. Av, av. Put them together, av, av. And av means father in Hebrew. Let's try some other combinations. First, let's practice. A, ba, va, a. Let's put them into some real words. Av, that's the one we just learned, which is father. Ba. Notice that silent aleph at the end. Silent at the end of the word, just like at the beginning. Ba. Ba means coming. 3 letters. Abba. Abba. We have a, ba, and our final aleph is silent. Abba. Now this word is read because it's not actually a Hebrew word. It's an Aramaic word, and it means father as well. Aramaic words tend to end with an aleph. A lot of people think that Abba means daddy in Hebrew. It does in modern Hebrew, but it doesn't exist in classical Hebrew. It's just an Aramaic word that was borrowed into modern Hebrew. Let's learn another consonant to make things really interesting. This is the Hebrew letter Hey. It makes a H sound, H. So like you're breathing kind of harshly through your throat, H. And Hey has a hole, and it makes the same sound as the H at the beginning of whole, too. H. Hey has a hole. That will be important for later as well. Let's practice our vowels with Hey. Ha. Ha. Ah, that's a new vowel, actually. So this vowel also has a horizontal line like kamatz and patach, This is chataf patach, so it's also going to make a ah sound. Ha. Ha, ha, ha. That's my answer when anyone tells me that reading Hebrew is hard. Let's practice a mishmash of different combinations. Ha, ah, ba, v, ha. Tricked ya, that one's silent. Ba, ha, va. Are you ready for a 4-letter word? Let's go syllable by syllable, taking one letter with its vowel at a time. Ah, ha, va. Now the hey at the end of a word is gonna fall silent, just like the H at the end of a word in English. So here we have ah, ha, va. Ahava. It means love in Hebrew. And notice that the stress is going to come at the end. Not ahava, not ahava, ahava. Ahava, with the stress at the end. See if you can hear the difference between those 3 stress placements. Ahava, not correct. Ahava, not correct. Ahava, ahava, stress at the end. Another Hebrew letter, this is nun. Nun looks like someone kneeling to pray. Nun. Nun makes a n sound, as you probably could have guessed. N. Let's practice with our vowels. Na, na, na. Na, 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 na. Let's read a word with nun. It's na. Na means please. And here's another word. A little bit more complicated. Ana. Ana means please. It's just a more poetic way of saying please in biblical Hebrew. Let's add a new vowel into the mix. This is not a horizontal line. It's not going to be an ah sound. This is the vowel tseire, tseire, and as it probably sounds to you, it's an A sound. Tseire makes an A sound. So with our silent aleph, just holding space for the vowel, this syllable is going to sound like A. Let's try with the other letters we know. Bay, vey, hey, nay. So you have hey for your horse that says nay. Let's try all the possible combinations we know. Ah, 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 a, ba, va, ba, ve. That was a little tricky because I switched back and forth with the dagesh. So let's do that one more time. Ba, va, ba, ve, ha, 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 hey, na, 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 nay. Let's make some words with nun. Try this one on your own first. Bain, bain. That means son, as in the son of a parent. But the nun, when it comes at the end of a word, drops her foot below the line of writing, sort of steps down at the end. So bain, son, will look like this in a text, not like this. How about this word? Hain. Hain means behold. Hain. This is what it's going to look like in a text with the foot dropped below the line of writing. Let's add another consonant. Gimel. G. Gimel. G. A teacher I used to know would say that this looks like Gimel is going for the goal, maybe like a soccer player running or kicking with its little foot. Gimel. G. Let's practice Gimel and Nun with all of our possible vowel sounds so far. Ga. 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 Gay. Na. 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 Nay. I'm going to be speeding up a little bit as we do these practices. If you need to slow the video down or go back, that's totally fine. But it's good for you to read and read along and listen at a faster speed as we move forward. It will help to sort of prime your automatic reading skills. Here's a new consonant, dalet. Dalet has a dent. A dent. So notice it's not round, it has a dent. Da, 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 day, just like ga, 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 gay. One more time on the dalet line, da, 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 day. Make sure you're reading along with me to internalize those sounds. Here's some words with dalet. Try this one on your own. Dag. Dag means fish. You're going to notice these extra dots in some of the letters. This does not change the sound of the letter in standard pronunciation. It's there for a grammatical reason we're not going to get into right now, but you'll especially notice it at the beginning of words quite a lot. Dag means fish. Now let's just add one more syllable to the same word. Daga. Daga. Also fish, but this one happens to be a female fish. Daga is a female fish. How about this word? Remember, Nun can drop her foot beneath the line of writing. Gan. Gan means garden. And how about this one? Aid. Aid means mist. Like the mist that came up from the earth to water the gan at the beginning of the Bible. New vowel. Now remember how all of our horizontal line vowels so far have been ah sounds, and we had a 2-dot vowel that makes an a sound. I would love to tell you this also makes an a sound. It doesn't. It makes an eh sound, but it's in the same family of vowels, so there is still a useful trick there. This is segol, makes an eh sound. Like in this word. Now you may have said beged, beged, because in Hebrew we want to put the stress at the end of the word. But segol, when it comes at the beginning, tends to pull the stress back. So there's a lot of complicated grammatical reasons why and rules about this, but for now we're just going to remember that segol can change where the stress goes sometimes. This isn't beged, this is beged. Beged. Hear the difference. It's not beged, it's beged. Beged means an article of clothing. How about this word? Even. Initial stress. Even. Even means a stone. Neged. Oh, excuse me. That was the last one. Wow. I make mistakes too sometimes. Let's go back. This is Negev. Negev. Negev is the name of the southern desert in Israel, and sometimes it's used in the Bible to actually mean southward or in a southern direction. Negev. And this is Neged. Neged means across from, against, corresponding to. Neged. All right, let's look at all the vowels we've learned so far. kamatz, a, patach, a, chataf patach, a, tsere, a, segol, e. Here's another vowel, or to be more accurate, this is a semivowel. It doesn't really make its own sound. Technically speaking, where it appears determines the sound it makes, but the simplest way to learn the sound that shva makes is to say its name, shva, shva, right? This vowel makes a sort of sound. Or we could really say that it makes the consonant make its own sound, like a big old stop sign. B. It doesn't go anywhere. B. Now, let's read shva with the consonants we know, avoiding the ones where we're not allowed to go. Bet. With shva, b. V. G. D. N. Just the sounds that the letters make. Aleph, you can't really do Aleph with a shva because Aleph is already silent, so there's no sound to make. Hey, like it's a strange, it doesn't really work. Nun sofit. Now, nun sofit often is at the end of a syllable, and oftentimes shva is used to mark the end of a syllable, or I should say really always it marks the end of a syllable. But we don't really need it all the time to know we're at the end of a syllable. When you have a final letter, you know you're at the end of a word, so you're definitely also at the end of a syllable. Let's add a prefix to a word we already know. These 4 letters here, let's just cut off the first one. The last 4 letters, a, ha, va, ahava is love. We can add b, be'ahava. Be'ahava means with or in love. Not in love as in love with someone, but in a spirit of love, with love. Okay, let's review what we've learned in lesson 1. We've learned aleph, which is silent. Bet, that ball in a box, makes a b sound. But she loses her ball sometimes and then makes a v sound. Gimel, g. Dalet, d. Hey, h, or silent at the end of a word. Nun, n, and nun sofit, or final nun, which still makes a n sound. We learned words like av, father, bain, son, hein, behold, na, please, ahava, love, be'ahava, with love, beged, initial stress, a garment, even, a stone, Negev, that southern desert. Neged, against, opposite, corresponding to. Something I like to show my Hebrew students is what the text actually looks like as we have it in different forms. There's no point in learning classroom Hebrew and then never being able to apply it because of a difference in fonts or just a difficulty applying the sort of theoretical language to real life examples. So here are some real life examples that you might see. These first 2 are just copy pasted from Sefaria, which is an online Jewish library, a really wonderful resource for learning. And this down here is actually a facsimile of a Torah scroll, a Yemenite Torah. It was made by Jewish people from Yemen. And this is in a collection at the University of North Texas. So we'll see a couple different examples of what Hebrew can look like here. First, let's look at this verse here. This is the first verse of the Torah and of the Bible in the beginning, when God created the heavens and the earth. And just take a moment to look at this verse and notice how many things you already know. Pause if you need some more time. We know b We know aleph is silent here. We know the sound this syllable makes, ba. We don't know this letter yet, but we know this vowel, a, with a silent aleph at the end. Again, an aleph, hey, but we don't know that vowel yet. Aleph with its seire makes an a sound. Hey with a patach, ha. A, ha, a. Not much longer to go before we'll actually be able to read this verse. I'm going to read it for you in full. Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Now, there's a different version of it down here, same exact letters and vowels, but you'll notice some extra marks in the text. And those extra marks are called cantillation marks. They're actually musical annotation, and they tell you how to chant the text. Now, you might be wondering, why are you showing this to us? Are you going to teach us how to chant in Hebrew? No, I'm not. It takes a really long time to learn how to do that, but it is useful because sometimes the place where stress goes in a word can change, and the cantillation marks tell you where the stress is. So, bereshit, the stress is at the end, easy enough, but look at this word, haaretz. We might expect it to be haaretz, but it's not. It's haaretz, and the cantillation mark is right under the syllable where the stress goes. Now, just so you know what it sounds like, here is this verse chanted with the cantillation marks actually sung. Bereshit bara Elohim et hashamayim ve'et haaretz. Here we have the Torah scroll as it actually appears in the Torah. If you have a real Torah scroll, it will look like this. And you might be wondering what happened to all the vowel marks. Well, they're gone. The vowel marks were actually added in by the Masoretes, who were pretty late scribes. They were writing like 1400 years after the Torah was written down. And so they added in those vowel marks to make it a lot easier for us to read the Torah. But when you look at a Torah scroll at a synagogue, it doesn't have all those vowel marks. So you just have to actually know where they are, either by understanding the grammar or just by memorizing. Of course, if you're singing, as with the second line up here, then it's a lot easier to memorize those vowel sounds as well. You'll also see that the Torah has a lot of embellishments that we don't see in a printed book. First of all, the handwriting is just gorgeous. And second of all, the letters have these tagin, or crowns, on them in certain places. And there are different customs about which letters get tagin and when and why and what they signify. There's a whole sort of school of mysticism behind it as well. And so a Torah scroll can be a really beautiful work of art, actually. But it's not a sort of improvisational work of art. There's very specific rules that control sort of how the scroll is written so that there won't be any changes introduced to the text by accident. Toda, thank you for joining me today for Summer Hebrew, or whatever season, Lesson 1. Make sure you like and subscribe. It really helps me out. And join me again for Lesson 2.